Y'all not here for this. Well, I don't really know why y'all here. But anyway, if y'all don't listen to the Smith family, okay? Because from what I understand, they are allegedly suggesting that shrooms is a good thing to heal depression. Just in all things. Don't listen to the Smith family. Okay, let's get to this review. In episode 3, we focus on Lawrence, Cadola, and the baby. And in this episode, we really see that Lawrence is actually living his best life. He's looking fine as ever. He has the tailored suits on. I think I need to say again, he's looking fine as ever. Yep. I mean, great job. Outings, going out on dates, having sex. Lawrence is just living his best life. Beside that, we see Cadola, who is Condola? Yeah, Condola. Blame it on the Crown Royal. But anyway, we see Condola, who is struggling. Sis is struggling. She looks like she's struggling because she has this baby and it's taking a toll on her. Whether she has postpartum or not, they don't tell us. But even if she's not, I mean, just having to raise or having to deal with a newborn on your own primarily is going to make you exhausted and worn out. So here's the question for us to unpack. In the situation in which they have become parents, is it wrong for Lawrence to be living his best life? Is it wrong? You could say, yes, it's wrong. This is his child. He should be equally contributing. She shouldn't have to be burnt out. But someone could also say, this is what she should maybe have expected because he's not going to be there full time, right? He's just not. Even if he was in LA, he wouldn't be there full time. So the question is it wrong for him to be living his best life, considering that Cadola is raising their child primarily on her own? Now, my thought on this is this. That when it comes to getting pregnant, having a baby, most of the responsibility is going to fall on the woman. Generally speaking, and especially when you're having a baby and you're not married. The reality is, whether we think it's right or not, fathers are simply going to have options that mothers often don't have. And I'm not saying that there aren't dads who don't take the responsibility for parenting the kid, even in a situation where they are not married to the person. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that generally speaking, the responsibility is going to fall on the woman, especially when they're not married. The dad, he's going to have options. Maybe he shouldn't have the options, but he has them that you're not going to have. And you need to think about that, or at least be aware of that before you bring a baby into the world. Is it unfair that Lawrence is living his best life? Again, in a perfect world, it would be equal partnership. There would be equal skin in the game by the mom and the dad, even though they're not married. Because even when you're married, it's not always equal skin in the game as far as raising the kid. But for sure it's not going to happen if the person doesn't live with you. How could it happen? Is Lawrence wrong? And should Cadola have known, yes, sis, this is pretty much going to be your experience? So let's go a little bit further into the pressure that was within this episode. I call it the Deadbeat Dad energy that Cadola's family was giving Lawrence. So, when he walked into the room after Cadola had given birth, the immediate energy from her family, you already know they feel a certain way about him. And I thought it was very interesting because when Lawrence's friend said, how could you be a deadbeat dad? The baby just got here. Because where were you, Lawrence, during the appointments? Where were you during the pregnancy? Were you there? Were you supportive? Were you going to the appointments? Were you involved? That's why her family is looking at you crazy, because you probably weren't there. You probably weren't there. Like when Condola said you just wanted to be, keep you posted. You probably weren't there. So they are looking at you like you're a deadbeat dad already, even though the baby just got there. There's a lot with a pregnancy before the baby actually gets here. There's a lot that a woman goes through when she's carrying a child. And I have a feeling that you were nowhere to be found. So yes, her mom and her sister are giving you that deadbeat dad energy because they haven't seen you, bruh. And in this situation, I stand with Condola's family. Now, a lot of us women, when our sisters have children, okay, we look at those children as our kids. I'm not even, this is regardless of the dad, whether it's a good dad, bad dad, present dad, absent dad. We look at these kids like, for the most part, like our kids, right? So the energy that they were giving her was also some of that, which is like, with or without you, she's going to be fine and our baby is going to be fine. Now, there's some stuff in there, you don't want to alienate the dad. You want to make room for the dad to actually be the father. Yes, these are all the right things to say, but the reality is we do get tribal about our kids. The sister definitely was not feeling Lawrence at all. She didn't want to hear him talk about how tired he is because she rolled her eyes. Kiki Palmer, you did that role well. Yes, girl. But they were not here for any of that shit because they're watching Condola go through carrying the baby, having the baby, what it takes to take care of the baby, where they're having to chip in. And he comes in and out, like a favorite uncle. He's not there. So on that, I stand with Condola's family because I know how it would go down in my family if that was my sister. It looked very much like how it looked in this episode. So another part that was very interesting with this whole pressure during this episode is the fact that Lawrence felt some kind of way. Lawrence felt some kind of way that he felt like he was not getting the props he should get for just being around. He said most niggas, his words, are not even around for their kids, and at least he's here and he's trying. Well, Lawrence and all people who think like this in real life, that's a low bar. Because when you think you should get a trophy for doing what you're supposed to do as a parent, that is a problem. It also kind of reflects on how much women are taken for granted in a parenting role, because you do think you should get a trophy just because you're around. So although I really do feel like Lawrence is trying, you get no trophy, bruh, for being there for your kid. So all of this somewhat comes to a head in this episode when Lawrence comes to pick up the baby, to take his son with him for a few days, and Condola just can't do it. She cannot let their son go because she told him she doesn't trust him because he hasn't been around. He hasn't been there. They can't depend on him. And she wouldn't let the baby go. Now, was that right or wrong? It kind of depends, doesn't it? I don't know if it's even a right or wrong answer. I feel like, of course, you're going to have to allow Lawrence to have time with his son that's not with you. But how she felt, I get it, because she has not been able to trust him. She has not been able to depend on him. And she's worn the fuck out. And he just pops in, whenever it works with his schedule. I understand how she feels. Lawrence tells Condola that you blew up my life, and basically he was saying you went forward with having the baby. I didn't really necessarily want to do that. And now you're trying to also keep me out of my child's life. But he blamed her, and Condola told him you are no victim. I agree again with Condola because the bottom line is we're grown people. You have unprotected sex. You know what the risk is. Cry me a motherfucking river, okay? So I agree with her on that, but I do understand how frustrated Lawrence was in this scene by not being able to get his son. So they blow up. He ends up flying back home. He can't take his son. They end up apologizing to each other and also saying that this isn't working. So Lawrence asks Condola, what do we do? And the episode ends with that question from Lawrence to Cadola. What do we do? Because this clearly isn't working. So here are what I think the options are going to be. Cadola and Mustafa, nobody named that baby dad, they're either going to move in with Lawrence, right, to co-parent, or either Lawrence is going to move back to LA to better co-parent, or they might get married. What do you think they will choose to do in order to make this situation better? Or is there an option that I'm not thinking of? Just got to mention a few things that were also just really funny in this episode. First of all, the crazy doctor who was talking about the ugly children. Where did they get this doctor from? What kind of Halloween look was he wearing? I mean, he looked like some deranged Blues Clues reject type doctor. That was weird, but funny. Also, Pepper Pig. Pepper with the hard R, Pig. Hilarious. And when Kelly, you know we all love Kelly, okay? When Lawrence was fishing around to find out how Issa was doing, and when Kelly said, everybody I know is thriving in abundance, limitless. Kelly was giving that, dude, don't ask me about my friend while you're standing here before me with your bouncing baby boy from Cadola. I'm not here for that. We don't care what the circumstances were. That is my girl. So all you need to know that she is thriving in abundance, limitless. Check back in with me for the review of episode 4. Bye.